Yo, you already know who it is. King Fortune. We back in this bitch. You already know. Let me actually turn the light on. It's a little bit dim in here. Let me give you some more light. That should be a little better. All right. Now, we're not going to be here too long. I just want to make this quick point. Now, of course, I'm always saying this, but, I'm going to at least give y'all 10 minutes. All right, here we go. So I want to start off with a quote from the Kabbalion, for those who may not know what it is. You can find this book anywhere. This is the ultimate guide of alchemy. But let me start with the quote, and I'm going to be breaking it down as we go along. And I'm going to be using the book of alchemy, which as we call the Holy Bible, and I'm going to be using the tarot to further detail exactly what's being said here. So let us start. So this is a quote from the Kabbalion. The quote says this: "The masses of people are carried along." I'm going to read this very, very slow. Very slow. "The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the will and desires of others stronger than themselves, heredity, suggestion, and other outward causes moving them like pawns on the chessboard of life. But the masters, rising to the plane above, dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns." That's the entirety of the quote, which is what I'm speaking about every goddamn day, right? But we're going to use a Kabbalion. Don't take my word for it, right? Study the Kabbalion, saying the same thing that I'm constantly breaking down on a daily basis. But the reason I wanted to bring in the Kabbalion is because we see how the differences between the masters and the pawns has been going on since the beginning of time. We all know that, people dominate other people. This is the way of the world, especially in America, because we are in the society of capitalism, which simply means dominating the lower people. Not because you're a bad person. See, we're going to get deep. It's not the so-called elite don't dominate the so-called poor because they're better or they're stronger. It's just that the ignorant don't understand the law. And when you do not understand the law, you are subjected to the fuckery. So there is no one to blame. So we don't have to speak about what the elites are doing. We don't need to speak about, what the fucking president is doing or what is the government shut down, so on and so forth. As they say, this is the longest shutdown in U.S. history. So fucking what? So fucking what? This does not change the fact that the laws have never changed and will never change. So that the people who suffer will continue to suffer regardless of what's going on in their environment. Why? Because they are pawns on the chessboard of life. So to further reiterate this point, I'm going to turn to a random chapter in the book of alchemy here and see what it has to say, because we're just going to this is full divination. I already have the deck shuffled up. I don't know what card is going to come up, but we're just going to let the spirit flow, right? Put a deck of cards right there too, actually. Let y'all see the Joker. There we go. All right, let's just turn to a random chapter. Let's see what the spirit is flowing, right? All right, it's going to open up random. I'll just do it like this. Just gonna open the book to a random page. So let's just go here. Psalms chapter 120 verse 1. What does it say? In my distress, I cried to the Lord, and he heard me. We put that down here. Who is the Lord? The Lord is the law, right? The ruler. Who is the ruler? Is it a person? Absolutely not. It is the law. So whenever you see Lord in this book, it's talking about the law. It's not talking about the demiurge that everybody worships. The Zeus or the Jesus. We're not speaking about that. We're speaking about the law. I'll read it one more time for those who may have missed it. In my distress, meaning in my being fucked up by life, by me being fucked up by the law, I cried to the law and he heard me, meaning when I corrected myself, then that's when things changed. When I corrected myself, because I am in accordance to the law, not because I got a better job, not because I got more money, not because of certain things happening, now I feel good, because when I move in accordance to the law, that's when shit changes. Further, we see that it is Psalms. Let me actually put this up here, because I'm gonna break this down a little bit. We're gonna go into the numerology. So you see, this is Psalms of the 120th chapter. But let's actually break down Psalms. All right. Well, Psalm, since it says Psalm here, it does not have the S, but the S is up here. But let's just break down Psalm, because we know Psalm is like a song, right? But let's just break down the numerology, and we're also going to break down what that 120 means, because we already know about well, you should know about the 120 lessons, right? But we'll leave that for another video. Let's break down Psalm. We're gonna make this point very clear. If we break down Psalm, I'll do it right now on the spot, and we'll get into it. Well, what do you know? It breaks down to the number 7. P is the 16th letter. S is the 19th letter. A is the first letter. L is the 13th letter. L is the 12th letter. M is the 13th letter, right? So let's break that down. If we go to supreme alphabets, we know that P is power. S is self. A is a law. L is love. M is master. So let me write all this down so y'all can see what I'm talking about. So it's not just words. Let me illustrate so y'all know exactly where I'm going with this. Okay, here we go. Power, self, a law, love, master. Right, and you also see I broke down Psalm. There's a quote right there. Don't worry about this. This is just a Wi-Fi password. Don't worry about that. So we have power, self, a law, love, master. And this love can mean love, hell, or right. Meaning you can love in the right way or you can love in the wrong way. In other words, we know that love and law, they both break down to the number 9. If you didn't know that, if you break down love and you break down law, they both break down to the number 9. And we know that the number 9 is the highest vibration, aka the Joker standing on top of the world, on top of the law, descending his own will upon the earth, not reverse. That's what makes him the Joker. And again, I broke that further down in my Metaphysics of Luck Part 2, which is exclusively on the website. But let's get back to Psalm. And we're going to go into the 120 after. So we have power of self. The power of self is rooted in the laws of a law. What is a law? A law is the collective consciousness, or you can say the greater or the grand soul, the universal law, however you want to put it. So the power of self exists within the mind of the creator, or the mind of the law, or within the realm or creation of the law. And what is the law? The law is love. However, you have the choice whether that love will create your hell or your heaven, because you know people can love the wrong things, the worldly things, which leads to absolute destruction because it's not rooted in science and mathematics. Lastly, master, the power of self being rooted in the law should help you to love correctly because you are in accordance to the law, and that is what makes you the master. One more time for those who may not have got it. The power of self within the mind or creation of a law is loving correctly and not wrongly, because you can love correctly and you can love wrongly, and the person that loves properly is deemed the master of their reality. Now let's break down that 120, because this is Psalms with the 120 verse. And again, this is all in a moment. I just randomly opened it up, as y'all clearly saw. So we flowing right in the face of the Spirit, you can say. 120. If we take it to supreme mathematics, we know that the 1 is knowledge, the 2 is wisdom, the 0 is cipher. Let me write that down. We want to illustrate every single step, so there's no confusion. Knowledge, wisdom, cipher. Knowledge, wisdom, cipher. Knowledge, information. Knowledge is to know, to gather facts, to accumulate facts, to gather information and give it form. Wisdom is the application of those gathered or accumulated facts. And the cipher is yourself, and that is where that knowledge is wisdom is being applied to self, right? So the cipher is the circle. You are the dot in the middle of the circle. Knowledge, wisdom, cipher. Knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge and wisdom is always present within the cipher of self. Why? Because we are the creations of the law of the all. So we cannot separate ourselves from the law, which is why we suffer when we are outside of the accordance of the law, or when we are outside of knowing. See, this is the thing. We all can walk a path or a journey, but every path and every journey is not worthy. What makes a path or a journey worthy is because it's rooted in knowledge and wisdom of the cipher of self, the cipher of power, the cipher of a law, the cipher of love, the cipher of mastery. Right? Going back to Psalm. So when we put all that together, you get the number 7. We know that the number 7 is a number of God, right? In supreme mathematics, for those who may not know. So Psalm resonates with the frequency and vibration of God, or the Creator, who is the power of self. Collectively, because we are all subjected to the law, and we can all choose to follow the law, or we can distance ourselves from the law. But when you are in accordance, you are the master of your cipher, because you have knowledge and wisdom that has been around since the creation of all. Right? So lastly, we're just going to flip over a tarot card and make this last point, and we'll check out of here. So let's move this. Let's just flip over the card. Oh, wow. Look at that. You see, the tarot never lies, right? The tarot never lies, the universe. But let's study the card. Let me actually give y'all a close-up look at this. So we see the 4 corners of the universe, right? You see a man and you see animals. You see the woman in the middle dancing with the snake. She has the sun in one hand, she has the moon in the other hand. The snake and the woman is one, as we know. The universe is like a giant womb. So you see the vesica piscis, or the yoni, or the pussy, for those who are more vulgar. You see all this is happening within the pussy, within the yoni, right? Type in vesica piscis, is going to look just like that. So all this is talking about the law that is already in existence within the womb of creation. And everybody is subjected to it. Now, of course, we can go into very, very detailed breakdowns of the card, but just to illustrate the point, you also see the eye, right? The eye is projecting that beam, that light, but it's also projecting the darkness, and she wields them both. The snake charmer, right? She is charming the snake of the universe. If we was to compare the universe to a snake, this is letting us know, if we already didn't know, the basis of all life is sexuality. That's why she's depicted as a naked woman. She has no clothes on because she has no shame, because she is pure. And when you are in a purified state, you are the snake charmer, or the serpent charmer, or one who has mastery of their sexuality, which is where all power comes from, which is why I've been talking about all this fucking and sucking, you know, depending on what the fuck you want to do. But I'm not just pulling this out of a hat. It's clearly illustrated. But let's take it a step further. We understand that this resonates with the frequency of Saturn, which we see right here. Saturn. So why is Saturn depicted as the universe? We know that Saturn is a planet of challenge, of limitations. It shows you where your foundations are. Saturn teaches you the hardcore truth, which is if you are out of touch with the law, you will suffer, because that's what Saturn is here to show you, or the root chakra. Saturn is connected with the root chakra. Most people's root chakras are out of whack because they have no connection to the source. You're not going to learn this in school. You have to learn this from spirit directly. As they say, seek and you shall find. It's just a natural occurrence. When you are in a certain wavelength, you attract certain information, certain people, certain places, certain events based on your environment. That environment is your law, depending on how aware are you of the law, and are you in accordance with it. See, this is what I mean by free will is an illusion. We do not have free will. You may think you can do whatever the fuck you want, but you have to pay consequences, for better or worse. So there's no such thing as free will. There's no such thing of doing something outside of the law. Everything is subjected to the law. So when your law or your foundation is based in mathematics, because that's what the root chakra represents, because we know the root chakra is Saturn, or Satan, the devil, which is what? Mathematics. Mathematics breaks down to what? The number 4, which is a number of culture. If the 4th letter is D, D represents divine, the divine culture. What is the divine culture? Living in accordance to the laws that have already been laid down. Also, this is the Hebrew letter Tau, which is T-A-U, which represents cross. Right? It means the cross. And again, we know where the cross is. We know what the cross symbolizes, or we should know what it symbolizes. It represents the crossroads. And who represents the crossroads? Eshu, who is depicted as the devil. Right? The crossroad, or the trickster. This is literally the same card. For those who can see, is this not the same card? This is the same card. He is standing on top of the world because he is in tune with the law. So you see, in a regular playing card deck, it is showing the same principles. The same principles are being shown, just depicted in a different system. It's all there. So let me read that quote one last time for those who may not have got it, and we'll be checking out. If anyone has any questions or any insight, feel free to speak. But let me read the quote one last time. The masses of the people are carried along, obedient to environment. Is that not the truth? Most people are influenced by their environment. If they're in a fucked up environment, fucked up job, fucked up family situation, anything fucked up, then that controls their mood. It ain't coming from within. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the will and desires of others stronger than themselves. Is that not what we see? Are we not seeing that people are being controlled by people that are perceived as more powerful? Not that they are more powerful, but they are perceived as more powerful because the person is not in tune with the law. If you are in tune with the law, no one is more stronger or powerful than you. It is all about your willpower, and your willpower that is in accordance with the law is the most supreme. It's not about who has the biggest muscles or who sits in the position of power. All that is irrelevant. Heresy. The reason it says heresy is people who feel like, because I come from a certain background, people who feel like they come from a certain, environment. As they say, never forget where you came from. Fuck that. Motherfuckers don't even know where they come from. How do you not, don't forget where you come from? What the fuck you? That's some bullshit. Because if you come from, let's just say you come from an impoverished environment, what the fuck does that mean? You supposed to come back to the hood when you get out? No, because if you come back, you know what's going to happen. Motherfuckers don't want you there. Why? Because they're still trapped in that fucking reality. They don't want to see your successful ass flossing and stunting and doing this. That's not a good look. So fuck all that. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the will and desires of others stronger than themselves. Heresy. Suggestions is people planting things in your mind. Motherfuckers walking up on you, running up on you. Hey, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should think about this. Fuck all that bullshit. Fuck what people say. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. Look them in their fucking eye and say, where you get this information from and why you not implying it? Fuck what you trying to tell me. Why you ain't doing it with your own fucking life? Oh, I'm getting it. Okay, let's continue. Suggestion and other outward causes, moving them like pawns on the chessboard of life. Are you a pawn on the chessboard of life? What the fuck is the chessboard of life? Why is life symbolized as a chessboard? Because the game of chess comes from the Moors. The game of chess was invented to exercise both sides of the brain, right? The game of chess was created to exercise both sides of the brain. It's also a form of divination. When you play games, chess games, board games, this is not just a game for pleasure. It's also showing you how influenced are you by your environment, or how influenced are you by the law? Are you influenced by your environment, or are you influenced by the law? But the masters, what is a master for those who don't know? A master, which is M is the 13th letter. A master has knowledge and understanding of their culture. 1 + 3 = 4, the number of culture. A master has knowledge, information that has been formulated in understanding their own personal interpretation of that knowledge. And from their own personal interpretations of that knowledge, they have developed a culture that is rooted in freedom. But the masters rise into the plane above. What is the plane above? It's just like spirit and matter. Sound manifest into matter. So the planes above are the planes of strictly or solely sound, formless spirit. But the masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers. Because we understand everything comes from sound. Because everything comes from sound, you can determine the type of sound that you want to play, or the type of music or the type of song you want to play in your life, which is what? Your mood, your character, your qualities, and your powers. Is that not the entirety of a human being? Their mood, their emotions, their character, whether you have principles or not, your qualities, what are your gifts and your powers? What are you here to build? As well as the environment surrounding them. Manipulating the atmosphere. So when you are in control of your mood, your character, your qualities, and your powers, you can manipulate the environment around you and become movers instead of pawns. You become the mover and not the pawn. And the only difference between the mover and the pawn is what? The mover is moving with the law. The pawn is suffering from that same law. The pawn is subjected to the same law that the mover is. The mover just moving with the law. The pawn is trying to move against shit because they think they have free will. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Okay, let's see how far that gets you. Because everybody is subjected. Everything in existence is subjected to the law because we all come from the same law. What is the law? The laws of the universe, which we clearly see right in front of us. Because someone asks, well, what is the law? What is the law? What is the law? If you can't see it right in front of you, then it's just not for you to see. This is what I mean by only if you got to have the eyes to see it, you got to have the ears to hear it. Everything can't be breaking down into plain terms. That's why the Bible is written in code. The Quran is written in code. There's no coincidence why these powerful books are written in code. It's only for those who have the keys. If you don't have the keys to unlock the door, you should not be allowed in the house. But what do people do? They try to come in through the fucking window. Then they upset when they get bust on. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because you ain't supposed to be up in here, and you not about to come through the window because you're going to get your ass kicked regardless because you are amongst masters. Or let me not say that. Nah, they're not amongst masters because the masters have the keys. If you don't have the keys, then you're not amongst the masters. So I'll read this one more time. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the will and desires of others stronger than themselves. Heredity, suggestion, and other outward causes, moving them like pawns on the chessboard of life. But the masters, rising to the plane above, dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. It's clear as day. So I gave you all the plus lesson, which is here. Breaking down what Psalm represents, the number or frequency of God, what each individual letter represents, and the Psalms of the 120th chapter. Knowledge and wisdom of the cipher of what? Self. So, it's right there. We don't have to go any further. So, this is what you really need to know. Take this information and do something with it. Be the master of reality and not the pawn. Peace.